Teletriage is our new citywide system designed to improve emergency response time and patients' access to care, optimizing evacuations and minimizing unnecessary spending. The 911 calling system is antiquated. With new technology, we're able to coordinate care around the city and treat patients in a multitude of locations, including their own home. Today, we're going to demonstrate the teletriage response for 4 unique scenarios who would currently dial 911 and receive traditional emergency evacuation services. First, our immediate action scenario. Our example patient is having a mental health crisis and requires immediate psychological intervention. With the current 911 scenario, this patient is provided some guidance over the phone from a 911 operator. With our new technology, once the patient has been screened, his or her phone is engaged to immediately transform into a video chat session. The session is passed to a teletriage mental health counselor who works with the patient to diffuse the situation one-on-one. If the situation escalates, mental health counselors are deployed to the patient's location and he or she can be escorted to emergency psychological medicine. The use in this situation of life-saving transportation is unnecessary. Second is our immediate diagnostic scenario. Our example patient burned themselves on the stove and isn't sure if he requires immediate medical care. Once the patient calls 911, their phone is transformed into a video session, and the teletriage nurse practitioner or physician's assistant can visually assess the situation. If the burn can be treated with at-home practices, the patient can follow instructions from the provider. If the patient requires transportation to skilled medical care, teletriage can deploy an Uber or Lyft nearby to pick up the patient and drive him or her to the nearest open clinic that handles minor injuries and illnesses. The use of medical transport in this scenario is also unnecessary. Third, we have a non-life-threatening physical illness. Our example patient is a 3-year-old child with a fever of 103. Once the parent calls 911, the call is transformed into a video session and an on-call pediatrician is connected with the family. The pediatrician can consult with the parents and visually detect any changes in skin color, presence of sweat, or other symptoms of distress. Using an iPhone adapter, the parent can check the child's temperature and digitally send it to the physician. If the child requires further evaluation, teletriage can locate an open and participating pediatric clinic that can manage the child's care, and transportation can be arranged via Uber or Lyft if necessary. Finally, our resuscitation and evacuation emergency. Our example patient is an 82-year-old under cardiac arrest. The patient's family member calls 911, concerned that the patient is having a heart attack. EMTs and an ambulance are immediately deployed and the patient is brought to the emergency room. Because the other scenarios do not require the use of an ambulance, our emergency evacuation system is reserved for this life-saving maneuver, optimizing our response time and the likelihood of saving a life.
Created using Powtoon.